One of President-elect Trump's biggest selling points to the American public:
$8,737,540,000. That's the kind of thinking our country needs.
Might become one of his biggest weaknesses. Experts say keeping his businesses up and running while leading the country might open Trump up to unprecedented scrutiny and potential corruption allegations, even if he hands control over to his children.
We cannot avoid the politics that's going to surround any inquiry into the ethics of the President of the United States.
Trump has a stake in over 500 businesses, more than anyone ever elected president. And because the Trump Organization is a closely held private company, we don't even know what the conflicts might be. Federal law governs conflicts of interest, but it doesn't apply to the president or the vice president.
Both the criminal conflict of interest statute that applies to most executive branch officials and the Ethics in Government Act that applies to most government officials of any kind, none of that applies to the president.
To steer clear of controversy, former presidents and vice presidents have, for the most part, followed an important tradition. They either put their money in a so-called blind trust or bland investments like U.S. Treasuries and mutual funds. Presidents have followed important ethical traditions, like releasing their tax returns, something Donald Trump has already ignored. So what's the solution for President-elect Trump?
I will sever connections, and I'll have my children and my executives run the company.
The Trump Organization announced it would transfer the business to his children without mentioning a blind trust. But Trump's lawyer used the term when asked about it on CNN.
It's going to be placed into a blind trust. The children.
Experts say that's not even close to the definition of a blind trust. And when we reached out to Cohen for further clarification, he declined to comment.
That is not a trust that meets the norm, because having your children run your trust does not discharge the conflicts of interest, because the interests of your children, particularly in this case, are coextensive with his self-interest.
A real blind trust requires the president to sell off assets. Trump's blind trust would keep his current businesses up and running. A real blind trust requires an independent trustee to oversee the assets. In Trump's blind trust, his children would control the company, the same children who helped run his campaign and are on his transition team. In a real blind trust, the president doesn't know where the money is invested. That's the blind part. Trump already knows where all of the investments are.
If you know you own the Empire State Building and you put it into a blind trust, you don't forget that you own the Empire State Building.
What Trump has proposed is the opposite of a blind trust. And as president, there's no law to stop him from doing it.